Hello everyone, welcome to a new update. Let's take a look at the markets. Before what I expect is to be a rotation back into BTC. Uh, we've been monitoring, that's something that I've been posting for weeks and months, the rotation between BTC and stocks. And it's also evident in my opinion because if you check the daily ETF inflows, you can see that yesterday it was just around 150 million, something like that. And stocks are soaring, they are pushing hard. Nasdaq is already at all-time high. SPX futures at 6.2k, so all-time high today is gonna be like pretty much guaranteed. And it's obvious, like this kind of rotation, people pretty much chasing and focusing on what's going strong at the moment. But smart money always position themselves before the moves, right? Remember, this is the Wyckoff, the 4-hour Wyckoff chart that we've been monitoring just to see if this is indeed a reaccumulation. Everything pointed to that direction, especially because it's not random that all this war fear that we charted, the oil wasn't hinting that it happened with the markets closed. Why? You could see that when on Monday the stocks opened, they didn't really care about the conflict, right? So if you manipulate the price and volume and all that in other weekend when you know it's was closed, the market was closed, it was easier to manipulate to move price for crypto. I posted that yes, give me the liquidation, the panic in a low volume closed market weekend. It was the perfect trap, and big boys know that, right? It's they really know the retail that most crypto players are very inexperienced. They have a very casino-like mentality, so it's easy to manipulate them. The same way they have been manipulating everyone, even people with hundreds of thousands of followers that have been bearish this cycle, that have been doubtful. That proves, in my opinion, that most people made money just in easy money conditions, like in 2021 with money printing going insane, which allowed insane leverage and DJ players to work. So that creates a fake feeling or a fake idea of being a genius, of really knowing what you're doing. And this cycle has really stripped many people naked, and this cycle has shown people who really know how to chart and those who don't, and you have to adapt and keep improving. So data, all the headlines we've seen about oil, about the Fed, and all the ifs and all the speculation around something that wasn't really meant to happen. I mean, if we had a clear war conflict, a real war, stock markets would really get hit. Oil would spike. And you've seen and you've read, if you pay attention to the right data, that Trump and Besant have been very vocal about keeping the stock market happy. And you can keep the stock market happy. And also Trump posted that don't you dare to push oil prices up. It's hilarious, but you clearly know what they are looking for, right? If they want a happy stock market, lower oil prices, lower inflation, and all that, lower rate cuts, is because they want money flow and they want push the stocks, the assets. How can you be bearish? They've been pushing crypto, all the crypto legislation, everything, right? And the gurus and all the so-called experts have been trying to confuse you and make you think that it shouldn't be so easy. There must be some hidden agenda. Whatever. Price keeps going up. There are no more bearish narratives ahead. Now you have power turning dovish, saying that perhaps if we have deals, which obviously we were going to have deals, tariff deals, inflation perhaps is no longer a problem. Again, they tricked you, they made you panic by pushing price down, by making BTC chop that destroys altcoins in the short term, and then you have one weekly candle for altcoins and all that pain is reversed. But people tend to forget that because they are glued to the short time frame, the low time frame. I mean, they know that. It's the generation of the TikTok levels of attention, right? So it's easy to manipulate people. Dopamine addicts that bet on casino moves like shitcoins to try and make it with 100 to 100 bucks. They know that. It's easy to manipulate them. But that's why we try to focus on data. So far, I posted yesterday that this 4-hour impulse within the Wyckoff schematic was good. I mean, we need to make a higher low, which by the way would be ideal if it's 106.5, which is something we've discussed. It aligns with this, right? And if we use the indicators, we can see that RSI wise, this impulse needed a rest and make a higher low to confirm that yes, we are in the good way to break this range once and for all, right? And not make a lower high and then potentially lose this. Ask yourself. I get tagged on Twitter about people saying that we're going to. Why do you pay attention to all that, people? Seriously, why? I don't care who says what, right? I've read many times, and that's why I stopped paying attention to Twitter. That first this and then that. Why? Because I say so. It doesn't make any sense. What's gonna push the price down to 100, below 100 again? Even war couldn't push price below the 100 EMA. What's gonna happen now? Stocks are pushing into all-time high. If you believe that, you keep focusing and paying attention to the wrong people, right? I'm not indirectly saying, listen to me. I don't care, but please stop following people who just say random stuff. I've 91st day 150. It's always random targets. So just analyze everything. There are no more headwinds ahead, right? If inflation is controlled and this short-term spike in oil that retraces hard the following days eventually don't cause any spike in inflation, it could all be controlled. If they cut before everything goes wrong in the economy, it could be seen as positive. Then all these if narratives that I've been talking about suddenly become just that, ifs that didn't materialize. So everything goes perfect and we fly into the final phase, the full euphoria that aligns with markets printing all-time highs. Why do you think is that? To fake people out? I mean, the wall of worry cycle has been so effective that we are nearing all-time high with BTC at 107k and people are freaking scared. Even in stocks, they don't really believe in this push. What are we talking about? They forget about technicals. You can see people, so-called experts, even in stocks, that have spent years and years, how they eventually give up and they give emotions too much weight, right? So it's easy to manipulate people if you follow all the headlines, all the noise. If you try to look for alpha, as people say, in headlines, in news, they will never post what you have to do in a headline. It's like all this war shit show, announcing that I'm gonna attack you. What the fuck is that? How do you believe that is real war? Announcing that I'm gonna attack you. When and where? Come on, guys, wake up a little bit. So I posted yesterday that the 4-hour move, again, low time frame, I don't really care, but just trying to give you something that could be useful. We have this big impulse getting overheated, looking for a higher low, and all that impulse has been pretty much fully reset. The 4-hour move, right? While holding a higher low. What's wrong about this? The only thing wrong, and I've said too many times, is your impatience. You want everything to run fast and hard and now, right? But that doesn't work that way. In fact, all this, if this is indeed reaccumulation, this is new hands buying the coins from the impatient, the doubtful, and the worried people. And you don't buy here to sell at 120, to sell for a 10% return, right? So this could be the start of a new strong move. In fact, I posted that this was a bull flag that started. You can measure it from this 94, 93 move, but you wouldn't believe it. With a clear retest of the 100. This move is even stronger than this one, in my opinion. Longer consolidation, and this one was short-lived. It was like a November, mid-December, like a month and a half. I don't think it is the same. Yes, people get more impatient here, but when you get a bigger reward, you will forget about this, and the new cycle will start, right? So I think this is really, really strong. We are holding we have reclaimed all the daily MAs. For now, holding everyone. No divergences, no weakness, regular normal price action on the daily. RSI wise, everything's going well. Nothing to worry about. And if we take a look at the weekly, the picture is even better. Engulfing weekly candle, holding the RSI MA, slight front run of the 20 after retesting the 50. Seriously, guys, seriously, what did you expect? A complete this is what people expect? And this, yeah, and then just a little bit of this and another man. Yeah, of course, sure, keep dreaming, right? But this is something we've seen before. So far, this is the only, let's say, euphoria-like kind of move we've had this cycle. For 6 months, right? And even then we have a cool-off period. We haven't had these explosive moves yet. Am I saying that it has to happen? Not necessarily, but we are below the 70 RSI, right? We haven't even crossed, only like in this move, we got to 88 weekly. That's why we have like an 8-month correction. 6 or 5, whatever. It's a long correction after very like a 6-month, 8-month. That's logical, right? But this move take quite some time. Accumulation. People want this without going through this. This is great. We are engulfing. We held these and reclaimed these upper range, 98, something like that. We couldn't hold it here. And now we are turning it into support. And I said, you have to see this as, okay, here I got exhausted. Let me rest in a higher place, from a higher place. And now I'm going to try again. Okay, it's still resistance. It's all-time high. But every time I push, I find like a place to rest higher. What do you think is going to happen next? With a full reset, with a clean breakout, and just a retest of the MA to confirm we're back. This retest came earlier, right? That's why the correction felt longer, right? This is super strong, super strong. In fact, yes, it's not exactly that, but you could even argue this is a V-shaped recovery. And even better, because it's possible to understand it that way, to interpret it that way. This is an insane, could be seen as an insane cap and handle, something we saw for Coinbase yesterday. I posted yesterday, cap and handle into all-time high. We saw that with Coinbase. Let me just, I think I have it here. Yes, this is the weekly, but I'm gonna show you the monthly. This setup is insane. And as we can see, BTC coin is leading BTC pretty much. Oh, it's pretty much, they are pretty much doing the same. So bear that in mind. I posted, why do you think Coinbase is really doing what they are doing? pushing all the or releasing all these, launching all these cards, cashback with BTC, and doing all that into a bear market, into a double top. Come on, guys. Do you really think the crypto so-called experts know way more than whales? They're really, is this the first cycle that retail is way smarter than whales? Whales keep accumulating. We have everything going perfect in terms of legislation, politics, economics, everything. And retail is the only one scared. And you think they're right. Come on, guys, don't be part of the herd. Okay, let's take a quick look at the Russell 2000. This is the high time frame analysis I did some weeks ago, right? I mentioned this distribution with the trend weakening, reaccumulation, another push into slowing RSI, right? That ended in these various divergence here, the weekly, rejected perfectly the all-time high, and again, weakness into all-time high. So the thing is, let's find a new higher low. So far, still within this upper range. And I could say, this upper range has been going on since 2021. I'm just saying that. Perhaps we're not ready. Perhaps if it's normally said that small caps run with losing money conditions, let's say lower rates, right? And this whole cycle has been with rates very high. What could happen if they manage to sell the narrative of cutting into a good economy? I don't care if eventually that leads to inflation spike and that's the narrative to crash the markets. But for now, that could bring months of really strong price action. And we have seen it has strongly reclaimed in this V-shaped recovery all DMAs. And look how close to all-time high it is. 13%. Weekly, I said this should be the leg that leads or make small caps into all-time high. Look at all the space we have, all the room we have. Not even crossing 70 RSI like we did here in the 2021 peak, right? And we know how altcoins really normally follow these kind of Russell 2000, the small caps in stocks as well. They're getting ready. I posted the pictures that Beth sent, all the tweets with the small companies, blah blah blah. They are setting the traps, the narrative for people to slowly buy their potential top for small caps, making them think that we have made economy grow, that everything is great again, and it will be for a long time. I mean, for some time, because you need people. You need to lure people in to then dump on them. That's why we have long distributions, right? You make people buy all this while you bought here, right? Especially at this heavy discount in COVID, and then you unload here. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But people buy here, panic here, buy again here, fuck, it was a trap again. And then they don't want to buy again. They don't trust anything. And once it is here, they are convinced that, okay, perhaps I was wrong, and they buy the top again. It's always the same thing. You think like a scared money, and that's the result. I'm gonna pay attention quickly to total 3 and others, and then we'll move into BTC dominance. Weekly wise, the 50 held after this breakout, and the 20 is rejecting. RSI wise is still not crossing. Perhaps by the time we cross, we reclaim the 20, right? It's not time yet. BTC dominance is saying that it's not time for altcoins yet. I know people want altcoins to run, but again, I said we not only need BTC dominance dropping like it did here, but we need BTC in price discovery. So all of you who want altcoins to run already. You shouldn't want that so early. We need, let me just choose a different color. We need BTC to be in price discovery first, right? We need BTC to go as high as possible. That's something you have to understand. If we see a rotation to altcoins now, the push will be smaller. It means BTC is distributing instead of reaccumulating. And then that could signify the cycle is close to being over, and we don't want that. Again, you being impatient and you wanting money now is not good just because you want it now. Would you take way more in 6 months time or way less now? Think about that, right? So here in Q4 we have BTC dominance dropping, but at the same time BTC breaking all-time high and entering price discovery. That combination is what made altcoins run. BTC still is not in price discovery, hasn't broken all-time high yet. We can see here how it broke it. And then BTC dominance dropped. This is the final impulse that I said was trapping many people with the final push down for altcoins while holding DMAs. And even I showed this, I explained this recently, last weekend, and still today, people get afraid because they see a 10% drop in their altcoins. What else do you need, guys? This is data. Again, I'm trying to help you to follow data, not what I say, data, because these are the places where people give up, and these are the places where people buy. You get wrecked in both sides. So wait until data says it's over. Here, many people say this was over for altcoins. It's only BTC. BTC getting rejected. It's not happening. And then, boom. And then here, people discuss if BTC was going to 120, 140 in just 2 more weeks. And the alt season started. Remember the tweets I posted about people saying, welcome to alt season? Right at the freaking top. And now we have 30 weeks. 30 weeks. I'm going to hide this for a second so you can have a perspective of what you've been through, or following the wrong people, or following people who fit your bias. Because here we had a 31, 32 weeks until things started moving from the top. 29 weeks. You bought the all season narrative here and you've been suffering ever since. Now you're impatient again because you've been suffering so much that you want everything to run as fast as possible. You are setting yourself again to be trapped, because once everything goes back here, you will say, okay, finally it's my time. But again, the market won't adapt to your needs or your desires, right? So it looks very, very familiar. BTC dominance keep pushing. Okay, let it push. Altcoins are holding. So they are waiting for their turn. Printing higher lows. You could say lower high as well. And I'd say this is a trend line. This is compression. And I showed yesterday in a post this compression. You can draw it however you want, just an estimation, right? Compression leads into expansion. Bullish pennant, reclaim of EMA, explosion, higher lows here, high highs, trend shift. I posted it many times. Getting rejected here, trapping people. You can see the liquidity grabbing, right? And then when we finally cross, people will chase. It's as simple as that. And if I open quickly the funding rate, this is what chasing looks like. Look at when the spike started. Way above the breakout, the final push. That's when people piling. That's when people piling at the freaking top. And that's the people you are following now. I'm just saying. Look at open interest, dead, because people don't trust it. It's the same thing every single time. People don't trust this. Here, they piling right at the local top. They get liquidated, they disappear, and they start again chasing. They disappear, they start shorting here, blah, blah, blah. No one buys this, break this. and we chase. It's always the same thing. It looks good to me. Just a matter of time. We open others. The picture is similar. I posted here that perhaps this was the final shakeout, and this could be the final shakeout as well, right? We have the perfect retest here for the 200. Now we are getting rejected here. Nothing wrong. High or low. It's the same thing. The same thing. And if I open the RSI, yeah, pretty much like total 3, about to cross again. But since this is a weekly candle, and within this weekly candle we have many 4-hour candles, several daily candles. People pay attention to too much fluctuation, because if I go to the daily, what I see is for now a rejection of the MAs, right? But a bounce of the RSI MA and a higher low with this thing daily, within this daily time frame. I remember posting here, how can people be bearish here, right? And then this was with total 3, but others is pretty much the same. And we were reclaiming the MA, so let's reclaim the MAs first, not a fake out, a true reclaim. We are making higher lows. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. Here it looked way better. Sorry, way worse. The fake out, and here we rejected. We didn't here because BTC dominance said it was time, and BTC entered price discovery. But again, nothing wrong. If you sell here, you will probably chase higher. Let's take a look at BTC dominance. And I was told, yeah, I'm not gonna argue with people, right? On Twitter, everyone can understand and analyze things the way they want. We are all free, right? But I said I wanted to monitor this. It doesn't mean it has to happen. This is the first divergence that I said. And this is the second divergence that I'm seeing now, which is why I extended this one, right? Why was I monitoring this? Because I saw something similar here in Q4, right? It's not the same structure, of course, but this impulse is making people panic right when BTC was about to break the all-time high, started building divergences. We are close to that, right? Started failing. We can see that it's not just my interpretation. Here we didn't have I said that perhaps we have some divergence here. We had last impulse, and then it decided to roll over. I want to monitor this because it's aligning. I said the next resistance level, and this is not something random, is this 60. Yeah, here, right? Support, some kind of support was around 66%, right? There was another kind of resistance level. So far acting as resistance, and we have another weekly divergence here, right? Again, I'm not saying it has to roll over now because weekly wise it's really strong. It bounced from the 20. Let's see if it's a fake impulse or not, right? And in terms of the daily, it's bouncing from the 50, the 20. It's still very, very strong. It has to lose them all. But remember, we've seen BTC dominance losing them all in a straight line before. That's why I said, I'm not saying, see, the old season is going to happen. No. I'm just showing that data says it can roll over whenever it wants to. In fact, I like that Bobby, which is very experienced, said that the push could be really fast. And I see BTC dominance the way it has behaved before. And yeah, it aligns. It could push really hard and fast and get everyone mispositioned to chase. The market will never give you the hints and signals and plenty of time for you to position perfectly. No. And you know that. You should already know that. In fact, I also showed that here in March, January, March, it was like a push up, but below the MA, the weekly MA. And this allowed for one of the biggest altcoin runs, well, the biggest altcoin run we had so far, which was pretty much the last impulse into March since October, right? So doesn't have to completely roll over, but data-wise, it says the last cycle that we need to lose all the MAs for it to, this is the weekly, remember, for it to be a true all season. And daily-wise, it needs to lose the 200. And we are way far from that. In fact, I expected that, I said that this wasn't the weekly cycle for an all season. When we were around here, toying around here, I said that the lowest I could see, this area 6160, because that was the 200. And we haven't even come down to here. In fact, this Fibonacci that I expected could be the top area, right, has been reclaimed. So we can only wait, but people are worried. But while all I see for now is total 3 making a higher low. So if people say that this is a BTC only cycle, why isn't total 3 making a lower low if BTC dominance is making a higher high? Perhaps because there's actually money coming into altcoins. And remember I said the BTC dominance can go up because there's more money coming into BTC than into altcoins. It doesn't always have to be a rotation from altcoins into BTC like there's no new money in the market. There can be new money into altcoins, but way more into BTC, and that's why BTC dominance keeps going up. The same way USDT dominance seems to not be dropping as much because the market cap is increasing. So it doesn't really need to drop that much for price to push up. Remember that it's not that simple. It's not black and white. I know people try to make it all very simple because it's easy to understand, but I believe that's not how the markets work. And all I see is high lows for total 3, while BTC dominance is making a higher high. I think this is relevant, right? We have the push here, and BTC dominance says, nope, I have one more leg, and total 3 retrace, but didn't invalidate these lows. So I think that's meaningful. That's a hint. Everything is going well. The only thing going bad, let's say, is just impatience. That's it. That's how I see it. Still much work to do. In fact, let me show you that if things are not, I'm gonna show the weekly because it could be very messy. Hide this. This is the Ethereum BTC chart, okay? I'm gonna clean a little bit all this. If this is a BTC dominant, BTC only cycle, why is Ethereum BTC looking like it's found a bottom while it keeps pushing? Because this could be a fake out and then BTC dominance pushes. Why isn't Ethereum BTC retracing and making a lower low if it's making a higher high? Why? Why do suddenly we have a shift? Because every time it went down, it eventually made a lower low, a low, a low, a low, until here. Coincidentally with the, I'm gonna show you with a clearer picture. See? Yes. Overhit it, of course, with this weekly impulse. But for now, this bottom area seems to be holding. Cycle-wise, very strong level. So tell me why BTC dominance keeps pushing. Why is Ethereum BTC not making a lower low when it's making a high high? Ask yourself that. While altcoin charts keep looking better and better, right? High lows as well. Completely dead flat cycle. Stocks pushing, Russell 2000 pushing. Potential cuts with a very positive narrative looming, but smart money position months ahead from the bottom, because they knew what was coming, that all the tariff deals would eventually happen, that the war would be like stocks didn't even care. There's a lesson there, right? Only crypto people got scared. So ask yourself why we're seeing that. Perhaps this is a fake out again. Let's see what Ethereum is saying. I'm gonna change the chart here for Ethereum. And Ethereum has held this high time frame liquidity area. I said these weeks are very telling. They grab the liquidity here in this hesitation area, push into rejection into 2.8k, coming back down, reclaiming 2 MAs and now being rejected here, right? But closing above this. The moment you reclaim this, I don't think 2.8 will really hold, right? So it's back again in this range. Ask yourself why it is holding instead of dropping and showing weakness like it has so far this cycle every time that you try to push, right? So the RSI, I don't want to see stock RSI now. Breakout, pretty much reclaim of the MA, and let's see. First time it breaks since the downtrend here, right? The peak in December. We saw here how it broke, reclaimed with a ugly looking candle, the same as BTC when it tried to break all-time high, and then rejection into previous all-time high, pretty much, right? This fake out here. Why? People thought that Ethereum was dead. No, it wasn't the time for altcoins. It wasn't the time for the alt season, which is good because in hindsight, it means the BTC has fuel left. That's how I interpret it. If alt season and alts run always the latest, then it means this wasn't the time for them. BTC making a higher low, Ethereum not making it, making a lower low here, which I think it's a deviation trap. I still think so. A deviation into the previous range and V-shaped recovery out of it. Golden entries. Now, BTC pushing into making a new all-time high. Yes, Ethereum is too far from it. Altcoins are far from it. But if they outperform always in the last phase of the cycle, why are you worried? Why are you worried? Because you are following people who say Ethereum and altcoins are weak. Aren't they supposed to be weak as long as BTC dominance keeps dominating and keeps pushing, which means that BTC still has fuel left. It's that simple. It means we are going higher and BTC has to lead. The moment BTC started here, this is the BTC dominance, and the moment BTC dominance started dropping, people were really happy because their altcoins were pushing, but started dropping very early, which means, in my opinion, that okay, this leg for BTC was getting exhausted. That's why BTC dominance started to go down and distribute into altcoins, because this leg was pretty much over. It started here, November into December, with the daily various divergence that we have seen many times for BTC. So if we see BTC dominance running down now hard, it means BTC is not going much higher. And we might go into 120, something like that, and then we come back down. And that, to me, is way worse. I want to see it push into price discovery. Altcoins will follow, not outperforming perhaps, but they will follow until the final stage when BTC dominance says, okay, it's time for me to roll over, to distribute again, and then we don't know if it will be another local top or a cycle top. It depends on the extension BTC goes, how high, how fast, the overheating, and all that. But again, I didn't expect an alt season in the coming weeks. I said that perhaps a normal weekly cycle at most. Yes, altcoins would push, but not into some kind of altcoin alt season. I don't want to see that I mean, time-wise, of course I want it to happen sooner than later. But I don't want it to happen now, considering BTC is still not in price discovery, and we need that. And we need it to go as high as possible. Please remember that. That's what we need. That's what we all want to see, right? In fact, if you go to BTC weekly cycle, once it broke previous all-time high, everything started launching, right? Gonna remove this. BTC dominance, once it started pushing, right? It found its resistance here, right? Some correction, and then started dropping. We can see that total 3, by the time BTC broke all-time high, it was just slowly climbing, far from its own all-time high, until it finally rolled over. And again, we are closer than that. It's about 30-40% now, right? So when BTC to get into price discovery, perhaps total 3, by the time it gets, BTC goes so high into the next correction or distribution from BTC dominance, altcoins are pretty much almost at all-time high. The same for Russell 2000, perhaps into the cutting phase that it's just used as a narrative, because that's what most people expect, to push price higher and make people believe this is the start of everything, of a true bull run, because people are so focused on themselves, on their moves, that they think if my bags are starting to run now, this is the start of the bull market. No, it's just perhaps the last phase, because small caps are normally the last to run. It's not the start of a new bull market, right? But they think so, because when my bags start moving, that's when everything starts. That's not how it works. And again, I think the setup is really good. We just need more time. Remember all the tweets that I posted here. Everything was dead here for altcoin holders right before everything running. So we need BTC to break into price discovery. That's the first thing. Forget about your alts. If they can climb higher in the meantime, good. They are holding key levels. We have seen that. So let BTC run. Again, compare this dead price action to what we are seeing. Nothing similar. And we have all the ETFs filings for altcoins. Solana, Doge, XRP, HBAR. And you think all that is happening into a bear market? Because gurus will give you the interpretation that the good news happen at the top. What's that? So good news are never positive then? Because if there's good news, it's at the top? What's that? But bearish news only come at the bottom, but at the same time they are saying that these bearish news are also really bearish for the market. I mean, choose a side, right? You decide what to believe. That's why you have to pay attention and analyze the data by yourself. So you don't have to trust no one else's interpretation. You don't know their hidden agenda by influencers, if they have been bought, if they are trying to push their own moves. Perhaps they are short in the market and want to convince you that it's over for you to short or to sell or whatever for their own moves. So develop your own strategy. I think everything is going well. We just need more time. BTC is showing tremendous strength, tremendous in my opinion, high time frame. And again, people have forgotten what a small drop from BTC dominance can do to the altcoin market, right? Let me remove all this for a second. And this is total 3, right? Total 3 pushed 100% move, right? When BTC dominance dropped from 50 to 54, 55, something like a 5% move. 100% move for total 3, 5% move. Just think about that. XRP printing 6x in less than 2 months. I think people get too glued to the low time frame and forget about this. So everything's good in my opinion. Ethereum has to reclaim the 2.5. Total fee has to reclaim this MA, which is pretty much around the Fibonacci, the 841 Fibonacci, which I've shown several times. I think there's nothing to worry about the rotation into stocks because they're pushing now. It will come back to BTC later. I posted that in May, I think it's what, 12th. The same thing happened. BTC was around 101, something like that. I'm gonna show you for a second. Let me go for it. And it was around here. Here. Stocks were pushing like 3% into 5,800, something like that, and BTC did nothing. And then, boom, 10% move into all-time high. Rotations. If you've been paying attention to them, you know they happen. Especially when everything goes up, people chase. Again, everything looks good. I don't care if it's 1K higher, 1K lower. I think it's going pretty well. Even this Wyckoff is, and the low time frame is acting perfectly, and the 4 hour since since Wednesday. Here, just a small correction, expected one. I don't think what's worrisome here. Nothing. So let's see how it all develops. No more headwinds in my opinion, at least for some time. Everything has been left behind. Give some more deals between Europe or an official deal with China, something like that, and that's all you need. That's all you need. So, take care. Don't buy the noise. Focus. Be rested, because when the time comes, you will. If you are playing altcoins, you will really find yourself even not sleeping much if you want to trade them actively. Until then, take care. See ya.